The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Greg Malone. I'm your host of Human Rights and Justice for All. And today's show is going to be on selfishness. And I'm going to be talking about Malala, the Pakistani girl who was shot by the Taliban. And there's a lot of other issues that I'm going to be covering. Obviously, I do each show. If you want to contact the show, you can either just go to the W4CY website in the top right corner. You can there's a phone number up there you can use, or you can go to Skype and Skype in, and they will take your call. If you'd like to be live on air with me, this is a 50-minute show, actually an hour long, but you should be able to get through and talk to me, and we can discuss any issue you would like to discuss. You can contact me at humanrightsandjusticeforall@gmail.com, or you can contact me on at Rights Justice. Rights is capitalized and Justice is capitalized on Twitter. Get me that way, or you can call my cell phone, which is 315-744-0007. However, if you call me in the show, I won't answer for obvious reasons. So I just want to let everybody out there know I see you all as friends, anybody who's listening to the show. And I'm going to talk to you just like I'm talking to a friend, just like anybody else, any friend of mine. And I have several that I would consider very close friends and family members that we talk easily and just laugh and joke and have a good time. So I'm bringing up the topic of selfishness today. And one of the reasons I'm bringing this up is I think this is one of the main problems that we have in America today. And I wish the founders of the Constitution, well, I guess the founders of the Constitution did take this into account because they separated government into three main branches so that there would be equal powers and that no one group would be able to take off and do their own thing. So I think they took into account that man's propensity to selfishness and to their own desires are one of the greatest motivating factors of any man and or woman out there. I'd just like to read one Bible verse on selfishness to begin with. This is in Corinthians chapter 13. It says, "Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth." So we see in this verse here that love is not self-seeking. It doesn't seek its own benefit over those of other people. And I just like you to be aware today that, you need to search your motives and what you're about. Because a lot of people are about nothing but selfish ambition, what they can get out of life, and they have no concern about anyone else other than themselves and their own selfish desires. So let's move on down through the show, and I'll be reading other verses as we go along. But first of all, I'd like to bring out this story about Malala. I cannot pronounce her last name. I think it's Yousafzai. She is a Pakistani girl who was living in Pakistan a year ago when the Taliban tried to take her life because she wanted to go to school. And she was very brave. She just said, I want to go to school. It's basically a human right for all children be able to go to school and to learn. And so a lot of the girls hid their faces. She walked with her face openly. Anyway, the Taliban was threatening people, young children, not to go to school. And she stood up against them. And she was shot in the head and in the neck by one of the members of a Taliban group over there, and was almost killed. Thank God her life was spared. This was an attempt to obviously silence her and to scare the other girls into not attending school and not coming to school for fear of physical harm. And she has since then become a spokesman about women's rights to education and children's rights to education, and is a very powerful spokesman to this issue because she's able, due to her age, her beauty, and a lot of other factors, she's able to speak into the hearts and lives of men and women across the globe and to relate her story and what other people are going through in other countries. You know, we are, whether you like it or not, part of a global community. Now, I know a lot of Christians look at that and they see a global community and they think about the Antichrist and they think about the unification of the world and a one world structure. Well, you know, folks, that's coming, and we all understand that and know that. And I know a lot of people who actively speak out against it and fight against it. I'm not going along with it, I'll tell you that much, but I'm not going to fight it either because it is coming. The Word of God says it's coming, and I realize that. And like I said, I'm not going to support it. I'm not going to be part of it, but I just realize it's coming, and I'm not going to fight against it. And I don't know how you feel about that. If you feel strongly, give me a call. Go to W4CY's website, look up the number, and give me a shout. And now you might wonder why I'm not giving out the number. And the reason is because, well, I've been doing it for months and months. And this is not a complaint. I'm just saying nobody's called in, except for one guy got the wrong show. And then my father called in once. I got to give a shout out to my dad. But nobody else has called in. So if you really want to call in and you really believe passionately about something, I believe you'll go to the internet, look up W4CY.com and get that phone number. Give me a call. I do want to talk to you today if you are willing to take some effort to do so. So I think Christians and a lot of people are just, and I know this is a turn off, but a lot of people are just plain lazy. And they won't do anything unless you put it right in their lap. So this is hopefully motivating you to do something and for yourself to move out to try to right wrongs and help the unjustly oppressed, like I'm trying to do here on this radio program. Again, not trying to toot my horn. I'm just stating the facts and how I feel. So again, love is patient and kind. It is not self-seeking. It's not easily angered, for those of you out there who are easily angered. So back to Malala. So she's been out speaking. She's been on the TV shows, the all the interview programs with the big newscasters, and they've been asking her, weren't you afraid? And I think she was afraid, but her principles were higher than her fear. And she stood out and spoke up against this. And Amnesty International has given her an award for her actions and her speaking out the way she has. And Amnesty International is a great group. I don't agree with everything they do, as I'm sure do not agree with everything I do. But Amnesty International does speak out on human rights issue, and they are very effective at getting their word out. So I encourage you to check out Amnesty International and what they're trying to do and what they're trying to draw attention to, okay? And Malala said, education is a human right. and it is a human right to be educated, to learn. One of the bases of Christianity is that people teach their children. It's spoken very poignantly about by God in the law and in some of the Pentateuch, the first five books of the Bible. It's spoken about, that people ought to sit down with their children and teach them. And we see a lot of places where people went to schools. There were different schools mentioned in the Bible, several different places. So, education is a thing from God. Not all education is good, but educating people into what God sees as truth and wants men to be educated in. I'm sure He wants people to find a cure for cancer. I'm sure He wants people to find cures for many diseases, and that's what He's about. He's about helping people to help each other, and that's what we should be about, is helping each other and ministering to each other. So with Malala, she was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Another group won it, the OPCW. It's the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. It's been a group that's been around for 16 years, and it has a staff of 500 people, and it's made great gains in its ability to prohibit and get rid of chemical weapons. In fact, they're working in Syria to try to get rid of the chemical weapons there. And I'm sure this Nobel Peace Prize for their organization will be a huge boost to them and a shot in the arm of cash to help them to do what they're doing, this important work of getting rid of chemical weapons. There's a lot of it out there. I just saw an article from Cambodia, where they had a big flood there, and it's washing up mines, tank mines and different types of mines that are washing up because of the huge flooding. And, this stuff's been out there for years and years and years. And, it's a major problem with these countries and their growth because of these types of weapons. So I applaud the OPCW, and I applaud Malala, and hope that she is able to speak for many years on the issues of civil rights. Also, with this situation with Malala, there has been legislation that has been introduced into the Congress. I'm sorry, I got a little cough in my throat. Let me have a drink. Okay, feel better now. International Violence Against Women Act. This was introduced into the Senate as Senate Bill 2279, and the House of Representatives bill is 5927. This has been introduced 2 years in a row, and in the Senate, it never made it out of committee, and it was not voted on, or it did make it out of committee, I'm sorry, but it was not voted on. And in the Congress, it went to the committee, and it never made it out of the committee. And this act was legislation that would have directed our State Department to talk to other governments about women's rights and violence against women, and ask them what they were doing with regard to policing it, to prosecuting people who were perpetrating violence against women. And like I said, it never made it out of committee, or if it did, it was never voted on. So this is something, if you'd like to support this, you can contact your congressmen or your senators. Again, the Senate bill is 2279, and the House of Representatives bill is 5927. So if you'd like to do that, that would be a great thing. One of the things we see in America with our children here in America, and this is, the average middle class and upper class children in America, they are very concerned with their own affairs, with getting the latest iPhone or the latest Android phone, or having the latest tech gadgets or a nice car or whatever.